What's up, sluts? Everybody's favorite pimp here. It is second of a dollar, 57.86, Thursday, February 19th, 2026. This is day 55. And I told a story yesterday where I would just say 55. I didn't do it for a long period of time, but uh, I did it. Then when I realized that it like hurt somebody, then I stopped. But I just, because you're supposed to honor your father and mother. All right. And there was something else. Had to do with something else. I don't recall. Anyway, if you're wondering, I've got these fucking bots going and just programming robots, and I think it'll be worth it in the future. So if I have to like keep an eye on them, apologies for the distraction. And nobody's watching this bullshit anyway. All right, I've got 99 Zerisim, but a bitch ain't one. Chilazone, Murex Trunculus, that bitch sounds like a Pokemon. Golus, that's the Jewish diaspora in exile. Chachma, wisdom, Bina, understanding, Da'at, knowledge. Chalaf is the knife. Shechita is slaughter. Shochet is the slaughter. Badika is examination or inspection. Chalaf is the instrument of surgical sharpness used to perform Shechita. Halakha, the body of Jewish law. Halakhic in accordance with Halakha. Kosher, correct, fit, appropriate. Neviela, Nevila, uh, an animal that was not slaughtered by Shechita. Rabbi, this pimp. Shechita, a Jewish religious humane method of slaughtering animals and poultry uh, for food. Um, the Chabad website has a typo. They have it poultry. It's poultry. Poultry. Shochet, plural shoktim. Uh, the person who performs shechita, qualified with a thorough knowledge of Jewish law, animal anatomy, and pathology, and licensed by both religious and civic authorities. Torah, um, the source of all Jewish teaching and law, also referred to as the law of Moses. Treifa, literally torn, generally used to denote non-kosher food. Zar, Ba'ale, Chaim, the Jewish teaching that cruelty to animals diminishes man's own ethical and moral standing, and that it is contrary to Jewish law to cause animals pain or distress. Um, so, a shochet must be learned in the laws of kosher slaughter and adept at sharpening and polishing his knives. Could be her knives though, known as Stellen Khalif in Yiddish. He or she also trains under an experienced shochet to learn how to hold the animal firmly to slaughter it quickly and smoothly. Often, but not always, the shochet is also trained to be a bodek, a checker, who examines the inner organs of the animal to ensure that it was healthy at the time of death. In the modern factory setup, these tasks are often divided. Gay cock and often yam go piss in the ocean like tis dying. Alright, I gotta do this bullshit. May Hashem bless you and guard you. May Hashem shine his face upon you and be gracious to you. May Hashem lift his face to you and grant you peace. Akin ani medaber ivrit bekar ivrit mikrait afshe befol anaknu amurim ledaber Yiddish o ulai aramit shegam otan ani yakol ledaber bamida mesu yemet Ravo ani ma'adif anglit lakin bo'u nedaber anglit zenishma tov lecha. Again, just bear with me. This will be worth it for Israel, so I'm okay. No way that fucking worked. No shit. Oh, that'd be tight if that shit worked. All right, so to sing the song. Wouldn't that be tight if it worked? Hava Nagila Chava Nagila Chava Nagila Benismecha Hava Nagila Chava Nagila Chava Nagila Benismecha Havanera 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 Benismecha Havanera 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 Benismecha Uru Uru Achim Urachim Benesameach Urachim Benesameach Urachim Benesameach Urachim Benesameach Urachim Benesameach Hey Hava Nagila Hava Nagila Hava Nagila Benesameach Hava Nagila Hava Nagila Hava Nagila Benesameach Habanera nena, habanera nena, habanera nena, benismecha. Habanera nena, habanera nena, habanera nena, benismecha. Urachim, urachim, b'nasameach, urachim, b'latsameach, urachim, b'latsameach, urachim, b'latsameach. Urachim Belasamea. That was tight. All right. Dude, maybe we should do the Kabbalah part now. Now I get that shit out of the way. And this is coffee and Kabbalah and coffee and Kabbalah. Really? Yeah. Why? Why not? All right. High color Zutari tea. The Lesser Palaces. It's an anonymous Merkava mystic, 3rd to 6th century CE, late antique Roman, Byzantine, Palestine, or we don't even say that. Scratch that. What will this bitch say? All right.
Out of 5, High Kalot Zutati, Echlot Zutati, Lesser Palaces. Author, anonymous Merkava mystic, date 3rd to 6th century CE, late antique Roman, Byzantine, Palestine, or Babylonia. Overview. Heikalot Zutati is one of the earliest and most important texts of Merkava mysticism, Marseille Merkavaba, work of the chariot. It describes the ascent of Rabbi Akiva through the heavenly palaces, Heikalot palaces toward the divine throne. It focuses on mystical ascent, Yerida la Malkava, descent to the chariot, paradoxically meaning ascent, angelic hierarchies, secret divine names, liturgical adjurations, vision of the throne, Kisei Kavod, structure outline, opening framework, presented as mystical teachings revealed to Rabbi Akiva, emphasis on secrecy and qualification, warning that improper use leads to danger or death. Preparation for ascent, ritual purity requirements, fasting and ascetic discipline, recitation of divine names, Shemot, use of seals to pass heavenly gates. The 7 palaces, Sheba HaYechalot, 7 heavens palaces. Each palace contains fearsome angelic gatekeepers, specific passwords and divine names, threats to unworthy mystics. The mystic must correctly recite names, demonstrate spiritual worth, withstand terrifying angelic guardians. Angelic hierarchy descriptions of Sarim, princes, Aphanim, Ophanim, Seraphim, Hayot, living creatures. Heavy emphasis on angelic power, angelic hostility to humans, divine authority overriding angels. Divine names and adjurations. Large portions consist of long strings of sacred names, magical sounding formulae, protective invocations, purpose, safe ascent, control over angels, mystical empowerment, vision of the throne, description of the kavod, divine glory, fire, light, and overwhelming radiance, divine body imagery, highly symbolic and later controversial. The throne vision echoes, Book of Ezekiel, Ezekiel 1, early apocalyptic traditions like First Enoch, liturgical elements, heavenly hymns, angelic praise formulas, repetitive chant-like structures. This shows early links between mysticism, prayer, proto-Kabbalistic theurgy. Theological themes, human ascent to heaven is possible but dangerous. Divine names function as cosmic keys. Angels resist human intrusion. Authority of Torah sages over angels. Mystical experience as elite secret knowledge. Importance, one of the foundational texts of Heikalot literature. Influenced later works like Heikalot Rabbati and Through Enoch, Sefer Chanuch Hebrew Enoch, precursor to medieval Kabbalah, shows Judaism's early mystical and magical traditions. If you'd like, I can next outline Heikalot Bati, Heikalot Ravti, Greater Palaces, or compare Heikalot Zutati to 3 Enoch's.
No, that's okay. So, why do we sometimes say the world to come, but other times it's heaven? It seems like heaven isn't mentioned in Torah. So, where does this come about in using the term heaven? That, like, heavens are used, but not heaven in the traditional, like, afterlife sense. Give me the breakdown, please.
Great question. You're 100% right to notice the distinction. In the Torah, we see Shamim, Shamayim, heavens, but not heaven as a clearly defined afterlife destination, the way later Judaism or Christianity speaks about it. The shift happens gradually. Here's the breakdown. In the Torah, Chomesh Shumash, 5 books of Moses, the word used is Shemamayim, heavens. Example, Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. What does Shamayim mean here? It means the sky, the cosmic realm above, God's dwelling metaphorically. It does not clearly mean a reward location after death, a paradise for souls. When people die in the Torah, they go to Sheol, the grave underworld. Sheol is shadowy, neutral, not reward, punishment focused, not clearly heaven or hell. So you're right, early Torah theology does not describe heaven as the post-mortem reward realm. Early biblical development, prophets and writings. Later Tanakh books begin expanding the picture. For example, Book of Daniel, Daniel 12, introduces resurrection. Book of Isaiah hints at eternal life imagery. Psalms sometimes speaks of being taken by God. Still, there is no fully systematized heaven as reward, but the seed is forming. The righteous are associated with God's presence. God dwells in the heavens. Therefore, proximity to God begins to imply post-mortem reward. Next, Second Temple period, major shift. This is where things change significantly. Influences apocalyptic literature, angelology, resurrection theology, possibly Persian ideas, not provable but often discussed. Books like Fern Enoch, Tuku Maccabees Inu. Now we see multiple heavens, heavenly reward chambers, punishment areas, thrones, angel courts. Heaven starts meaning a structured post-death reality for the righteous. Rabbinic Judaism, Talmudic period. Now we get clearer terminology. Gan Eden, Gan Eden, Garden of Eden, used as the place of reward for righteous souls after death. Olam Ababa, the world to come, can mean afterlife realm or future messianic era or post-resurrection world. Shivar Ki'im, several firmaments, is described in Talmud, Chigida world to be. Now heaven becomes a layered cosmology, a place of souls, a realm of angels, God's throne domain. Why we switch between heavens and heaven? Because they're historically different ideas. Term, meaning in Torah, meaning. Later, Shamayim, heavens, sky, cosmic realm, spiritual realm, heaven, afterlife sense. Not explicit realm of reward. Gan Eden, earthly garden, post-death reward. Olam Haba, not in Torah, theological afterlife concept. Originally heavens, cosmological term. Later, heaven, theological destination. Important theological point. Classical Judaism does not focus heavily on going to heaven. The main focus becomes resurrection, Tayata Mati, the Messianic era, living in a perfected world. So even later Judaism doesn't emphasize heaven the way Christianity does. So where did heaven come from? It developed through 1, biblical evolution, 2, apocalyptic literature, 3, rabbinic interpretation, 4, mystical traditions like Haikalat literature, 5, later medieval Jewish philosophy. It was not dropped fully formed into the Torah. It emerged over centuries. If you'd like, I can next explain the difference between Gan Eden and Olam Haba, or whether heaven in Judaism is temporary or eternal, or how this differs from Christian heaven. Your instincts here are very sharp. This is exactly the kind of textual historical awareness most people miss. Perfect. Let's go deep and clean on this. You're asking for the real distinction between Gan Eden, Garden of Eden, Olam Haba, the world to come, because people use them interchangeably, but they are not the same thing. Gan Eden, what it originally meant. In Genesis, it's a physical garden on earth, but in rabbinic Judaism, it becomes the place where righteous souls go after death, but before resurrection. Key features: it is spiritual, souls exist without bodies. It is a reward state. It is often called heaven in popular speech. Sources: Talmud, Midrashic literature. Important: Gan Eden is usually understood as temporary. It lasts from death until resurrection. Olam Haba, the world to come. This term is more complex. It can mean 3 different things depending on context. A, the afterlife, sometimes used that way. Sometimes rabbis use olam haba to mean the soul world after death. B, the messianic era, the perfected world under Mashiach, Messiah. C, the post-resurrection world, most technical meaning after Tchayat Hamatim, resurrection of the dead. This is the ultimate eternal state. Rambam system, very important. Maimonides' Rambam makes a sharp distinction. Gan Eden equals metaphor for intellectual soul pleasure. Olam Haba equals purely spiritual eternal existence of the intellect. Resurrection, temporary stage before ultimate spiritual existence. He downplays physical paradise imagery. Ramban's system, opposite direction. Nachmanides, Ramban disagrees. He holds Gan Eden calls temporary soul realm. Olam Haba calls physical spiritual resurrected world. The final state is embodied, not disembodied. This becomes closer to Kabbalistic thinking. Kabbalistic view in Kabbalah, there are levels of Gan Eden, lower Gan Eden, upper Gan Eden. Souls ascend spiritually through levels. Olam Haba is cosmic rectification, full divine revelation, post-resurrection reality. Nash, is heaven eternal in Judaism? Short answer, usually no, not in the Christian sense. Classical Jewish structure looks like this. 1, death. 2, possible Gehenna purification, temporary. 3, Gan Eden, soul reward. 4, resurrection. 5, Olam Haba, ultimate eternal state. Heaven. Gan Eden is often a waiting room. The final goal is a perfected, resurrected reality. Why people confuse them? Because in casual speech, Gan Eden calls heaven, Olam Haba calls heaven, going to heaven calls dying righteous. But technically, they are different stages in Jewish theology. Big conceptual difference from Christianity. In most Christian theology, heaven is final and eternal. In Judaism, the final state is tied to resurrection, earthly restoration, national redemption. Mashiach heaven is not the ultimate goal. Redemption is. If you want next, we can go into where Gehenna, Gam Gehenna, fits, whether non-Jews have Gan Eden, or how Hasidut reframes all of this, your call.
Yeah, why not?
All right, let's plug in the missing piece. Hat Gehenna. Gehenna. This is the part that people either exaggerate or completely misunderstand. Where does the word come from? Gehenna comes from Valley of Hinnom, Ge ben Hinnom, Ge ben Hinnom, Valley of the son of Hinnom. In Tanakh, this valley near Jerusalem was associated with idolatry, child sacrifice, divine judgment. Over time, it became symbolic of post-mortem punishment. Is Gehenna in the Torah? Not as an afterlife realm. The Torah mentions Sheol, the grave, underworld, but Gehenna as a structured place of judgment develops later, especially in Second Temple literature, rabbinic literature. What is Gehenna in rabbinic Judaism? In the Talmud, Gehenna is usually a temporary purification process, not eternal damnation, rarely permanent. Famous teaching, most souls are judged for up to 12 months. That's why Kaddish, mourner's prayer, is said for 11 months. We assume our loved one isn't wicked enough to need the full 12. What happens there? Think less eternal torture and more. Spiritual detox. The soul experiences awareness of its misdeeds, shame, distance from divine light. The pain is existential, not necessarily physical fire, though fire imagery is used. Mystically, it's exposure to truth. Who goes there? According to the rabbis, most people go through some level of Gehenna. The completely righteous may bypass it. The extremely wicked may face prolonged punishment, very debated. But classical Judaism does not emphasize eternal hell the way Christianity does. Structure of the afterlife, classic rabbinic model. Here's the traditional flow. 1, death, 2, immediate judgment. 3, Gehenna, if needed, temporary. 4, Gan Eden, soul reward state. 5, resurrection, Tchayat Hamatim. 6, Olam Haba, ultimate perfected existence. Gehenna is a stage, not the destination. Do non-Jews have a share? According to the Mishnah Hedron 10:1, the righteous of the nations have a share in Olam Haba. So yes, non-Jews can attain reward. Judgment is moral, not ethnic. Kabbalistic expansion. Kabbalah describes multiple levels of Gehenna, soul reincarnation, Gilgul reincarnation, spiritual repair processes. In this view, Gehenna is part of cosmic rectification. Judaism's afterlife system is not heaven versus hell, eternal binary. It is purification, elevation, redemption. The ultimate goal is not escaping to heaven. The ultimate goal is resurrection, divine revelation, a perfected world. If you want next, we can go even deeper. Is Gehenna fire literal or metaphorical? Do souls recognize each other? Where does Satan fit into all this? Or how Shabbat explains the whole system differently? You choose the rabbit hole. All right, let's go into the next layer. Where does Satan fit into all this? Because Judaism's view of Satan is all right, let's go into the next layer. Where does Satan fit into all this? Because Judaism's view of Satan is very different from the Christian devil. In the Torah, the word shtan, Satan, adversary, prosecutor, literally means open quote, acute. All right, let's go into the next layer. Where does Satan fit into all this? Because Judaism's view of Satan is very different from the Christian devil. In the Torah, the word shatan, Satan, adversary, prosecutor, literally means open quote, accuser or opponent, close quote. It is a role, not a rebel god. Example, in Book of Job, the Satan appears as a member of the divine court, a prosecuting attorney, operating only with God's permission. He is not independent evil. In the Talmud says something extremely important. Open quote, Satan, the Yetzer Hara, evil inclination, and the angel of death are one, close quote. Meaning, Satan is the inner impulse toward wrongdoing, the heavenly prosecutor, the force that carries out death. It is one system, not a cosmic enemy of God. Role in the afterlife. After death, one, the soul is judged. 2, Satan functions as prosecutor. 3, divine mercy still overrides. He doesn't rule Gehenna. Judgment is divine, not demonic. No independent evil force. Judaism is radically monotheistic. Even destructive forces come from God, serve divine purpose, are ultimately good in cosmic design. Satan is not a fallen angel, a rival deity, the ruler of hell. That's later Christian theology. Kabbalistic view. Kabbalah adds nuance. It speaks of the Sitra Achra, Stara Achra, other side, forces of impurity, spiritual concealment. But even these are necessary for free will, ultimately tools of divine concealment. They cannot exist independently. Chassidic explanation, very clean model. In Hasidic thought, evil exists for free will, spiritual growth, revealing deeper good. The Baal Shem Tov model, even the Satan is ultimately helping you grow. So let's tie it all together. Afterlife system in classical Judaism. Satan prosecutes, Gehenna purifies, Gan Eden rewards, resurrection restores, Olam Haba perfects. But the whole system is unified under God. There is no dualism. Now let's go deeper into one of these. Is Gehenna literal fire? Do souls recognize each other? Is reincarnation mainstream? What happens at resurrection exactly? Pick your direction. Love it. We're going full system. Here are the 4, clean and structured. Is Gehenna literal fire? Short answer, depends who you ask. In Tanakh, Gehenna imagery comes from Valley of Hinnom. It was associated with burning and judgment, so fire language entered Jewish imagination. In the Talmud, fire is described, but many rabbis explain the fire is spiritual shame, awareness of truth, exposure to divine reality. It burns because the soul recognizes what it wasted. Rambam's view, Maimonides, he strongly leans metaphorical. Punishment was loss of closeness to God, not physical flames. Kabbalistic view, fire can be spiritual purification energy, the intensity of divine light experienced as pain, not necessarily physical combustion. Bottom line, classical Judaism does not require literal fire. Fire equals purification, exposure to truth. Do souls recognize each other? This is debated, but mostly yes. The Talmud implies souls are aware, they know their descendants, they know each other. Midrash describes the righteous sitting together in Gan Eden. Kabbalah says souls exist in relational structures, they are not isolated. However, recognition is soul level, not body level, more essence than appearance. Is reincarnation mainstream? In early rabbinic literature? No. In medieval Kabbalah? Yes. The idea of Gilgul, reincarnation, becomes central in Isaac Luria, the Arizal. According to Lurianic Kabbalah, souls return to fix unfinished spiritual work. Not everyone reincarnates, only when needed for tikkun repair. Chassidut accepts this framework. Rationalists like Rambam do not emphasize it. Today, in mystical Judaism, reincarnation is standard. In philosophical Judaism, it's optional. What happens at resurrection? Tchayat matim, tekiyah matim, resurrection of the dead. This is one of the 13 principles of faith according to Maimonides. At some future stage, bodies are restored, souls reunite with purified bodies. Death is abolished, the world is perfected. Debate resurrection may be temporary before final spiritual existence. Resurrection is permanent, the final state is embodied holiness. Kabbalah, resurrection reveals the deepest divine light in physical reality. Matter itself becomes transparent to divinity. Putting it all together, here's the full Jewish arc. 1, death. 2, judgment. 3, Gehenna, purification if needed. 4, Gan Eden, soul reward. 5, possible reincarnation if needed. 6, resurrection. 7, Olam Haba, ultimate perfected existence. No eternal hell, no rival devil, no simple heaven-hell binary. It's a repair and elevation system. If you want next, we can tackle, do wicked people ever get annihilated? Do animals have souls in this system? What happens immediately in the first 72 hours after death, according to Jewish sources? You're basically mapping the entire Jewish metaphysical structure at this point.
Yes, we are. How's that bitch working? Really beautifully. Seemingly.
All right, we're going to finish the whole metaphysical map. 3 big questions. Are some souls annihilated? Do animals have souls? What happens in the first 72 hours after death? Let's go carefully. Are some souls annihilated? This is one of the most debated topics in Jewish theology. Talmudic hints. The Talmud suggests most Jews have a share in Olam Haba. Some extremely wicked individuals may not, but it does not clearly define eternal torture. Rambam's position. Maimonides. He introduces a major idea. Some souls may experience karet, spiritual excision, meaning the soul ceases to exist. It does not receive eternal life. For Rambam, the worst punishment is non-existence, not fire, not torment, extinction. Ramban and Kabbalah. Nachmanides and later Kabbalists disagree. They generally hold very few souls are completely destroyed. Most undergo purification. Even very damaged souls can eventually be repaired. Lurianic Kabbalah especially emphasizes cosmic repair over annihilation.
Maimonides
Bottom
is
line, annihilation exists in some Jewish thought, but eternal damnation is not central in classical Judaism. Do animals have souls?
repair.
Yes, but not the same kind as humans. Judaism describes multiple soul levels: nefesh, life force; ruach, spirit; neshama, higher soul. Animals have nefesh, life force, consciousness. Humans have nefesh, ruach, neshama. Do animals go to heaven? The book of Ecclesiastes raises the question: who knows whether the spirit of man rises upward and the spirit of the animal descends? The Talmud does not systematically describe animal afterlife. Kabbalah suggests animals have sparks of divine vitality. Their soul force returns to its spiritual root. They do not face judgment like humans. Some mystical traditions even say animals connected to righteous people may be elevated. What happens in the first 72 hours after death? Now we enter traditional mystical material. Sources include Zohar, Talmudic passages. Here's the traditional breakdown. First 3 days, the soul hovers near the body, moves between grave and home, is disoriented but aware. Why? Because the soul is still attached to the body it inhabited. Decomposition awareness. Some sources describe the soul experiences distress as the body decays. This is one reason Jewish burial happens quickly. After 7 days, by the end of Shiva, 7-day mourning period, the soul begins fully transitioning into its next stage. After 30 days, the soul stabilizes further in its post-death state. 12 months. Judgment and purification are generally completed within 12 months. The full system in one flow: death, soul hovers, initial judgment, Gehenna purification if needed, Gan Eden, soul state, possible reincarnation, resurrection, Olam Haba. Some extreme souls, possible annihilation, minority view. Animals, life force returns to divine source, no moral judgment. Big should notice. Judaism is less about eternal torture, more about purification, focused on repair, focused on resurrection, focused on restoring the world. The end goal is not escape to heaven, it's cosmic redemption. If you want to go even further, we can explore what near-death experiences might align with Jewish sources, what happens to suicides according to halacha, whether Mashiach changes the afterlife system, or how Chabad specifically maps all of this differently. You've basically completed the classical Jewish afterlife architecture.
Have you ever had a near-death experience? Yeah, and I never thought I would, but I had a surgery, very important surgery in my life. One of like 4 I had that year, and I don't want to go into them right now, but there were complications. Apparently, I was never fully explained, and I think I understand why, because I would have potentially had a major lawsuit against the doctor, and I really liked him, and I didn't want to sue him, and um, well, I did everything that I could to really to schedule the surgery around Shabbat and around my working life, and I didn't have any time off. Um, and But I had to have the surgery basically done, and so I received approval and was able to pay cash for it, which was expensive. And I made the arrangements and had it. I was going to be home by Shabbat uh, with hours to spare. And I remember going under, and they're like, we're going to count down from 100. And I'm like, okay. And I've been in surgeries before, and I remember that, and I only get to like 98, and then I'm out. But when I awoke, I saw the doctor like this, and I could see the relief on his face that I came to, and I didn't know how much time had gone by, and I could just tell he thought I was gonna die or I was dead. I mean, maybe I wasn't dead, but I could see his face, his life flash before his eyes. That like he did not. He was in fear that I was gonna die, and I think it was a lot on him. And without going into complications, I was not coming out of. I really don't know. I think I know I had a huge loss of blood, and I had a huge loss of blood to the point where I couldn't walk. And when I awoke, I'm thinking to myself, "Well, okay, it's going to be Shabbat in a few hours," and he said, "It's almost midnight," and I'm like, "It's almost midnight." And he said we couldn't do everything that we were supposed to do in the surgery, and I was really disappointed because it was already like, what am I going to do about Shabbat? And then boom, they weren't able to do everything. That's why, I mean, I have 4 different surgeries that year, major surgeries where fully under anesthesia and such. And my car was at the surgical center. I mean, he wasn't just a doctor; he's a surgeon, and a very famous surgeon. Has a Wikipedia. Was someone who developed a certain type of very important surgery. He was like one of the forefathers of this type of surgery. Not, I wasn't having that. He was doing something else with me. Um, but anyway, it was like 11. I was like, what time is it? He's like, it's 11, it's about 11 o'clock, and he knows that I'm a religious Jew, and um, he and the nurse, got me off the table, and I could not walk. I remember being like, there is no blood in me. I don't, I could not walk. Um, More than just like I couldn't. I just had a lot of trouble walking to the point where they were having to like, and I think under other circumstances they would have called an ambulance and taken me to the hospital, but he didn't want to do that. I think probably because he didn't want to necessarily perhaps lose his license. Um, but when I saw him, I could really tell that he thought I was gonna die, and he was relieved that I didn't. And I was very bandaged, and I was like, I don't remember what happened during that, but when you go into a surgery and it's supposed to take like an hour, and it takes like 10 hours, something went wrong. And I remember saying that to him later that I was not planning on this, but I could not drive on Shabbat, and I couldn't drive in the state I was in anyway. And uh, he, the surgeon, took me home, and I remember talking about religious discussion. Well, so his father was uh, Jewish, and we were talking about his upbringing and such, basically, and and Judaism. But I remember just talking to him about Judaism, and I got home, and I mean, because I had to leave my car, and I just knew I was going to have to leave it there until Sunday or Saturday night is when I left it, and I couldn't walk to the door, and I had to be like carried into the. And I remember just struggling to get up the stairs, and then just. But I will say this: you'll see. I would go to a. I mean, like I think all my emails one day will become very famous, and I don't miss Shabbat, and I didn't miss Shabbat uh, of my own control. But the first surgery that I had, I was so badly bandaged, but I still wanted to come. And it'll be like funny in the future where people were like, this person wanted to go to Shabbat, wanted to daven, and looked like a mummy, and absolutely, like that's how serious I was about it. And still am. Um, so you had a near-death experience? Yeah, but I can't really tell you any. I mean, maybe one day under like hypnosis, I'd be able to remember something, but I just remember looking at the doctor and he was just like white. And I looked at him in the face and he was like so relieved that I came to. And he told me that we could not do everything that we had planned in the surgery because there were complications. And I just had bled a lot more than had been expected. And I could feel it. I mean, I've bled a lot in my life, far more than any person should ever bleed. I mean, I have bled to the point where I push on my head and I drop and I pass out. Like it takes out everything. I mean, it's just a terrible situation. No one should ever bleed as much as I have bled. And it's one thing to bleed and have the ability to have treatment. It's another thing to bleed and not and like have to use and not and have to not have the resources and supplies to be able to clot yourself or to get proper medical attention. Bleeding is terrible. And especially when it's from like artery areas or close to it or places that won't clot. Oh, it's just a terrible situation. And this was not even that time. So I dealt with the loss of blood a lot. And when you don't have a lot of blood, you get very cold. And I can tell you I've experienced it multiple times in my life. And you become like absolutely weak. And it was just the closest you ever felt that you were gonna die. I didn't. I think it's probably the closest that I came to ever dying. I mean, I'll just ask anybody else out there. Have you ever had a surgeon drive you home? That just doesn't happen. I've never known of it. And I think I would have had, if I wanted to, a major lawsuit against this doctor if I wanted, but I didn't. He had helped me. He's my friend. And it was a situation where, do you wish he would have taken you to the hospital? Probably. Yeah. I mean, if I wasn't coming to after 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, I would have wanted him to take me to the hospital. But um, just was a bad situation. So, did I have a? Do you see the light? Kind of a no, but I have known of people to do that, and I've known one woman. She never told me this story, but she told a family member this story, where she, I believe, was in a surgery, and there was a light that everybody talks about. You know, you see the light, and the voice in her head said, "Don't go to the light." And apparently, if you go to the light, you die. It was against your intuition, like, "Oh, go to the light." No, if you go to the light, you die. If you stay in the dark, you remain on Earth. And she would go on to have a very good career and other things. But anyway, near death experiences are very interesting. And I don't recall having that going to the light, but I do know that I was going in for a relatively minor, well, a surgery that was, I had complications during surgery. And I've been in a lot of surgeries, really, everywhere from my feet to my head. I've had multiple foot surgeries. I've had plantar fasciitis. I've had hammer toe surgery. I've had um, facial reconstruction surgery, multiple. Um, I've had minor inpatient surgeries. I've had multiple spinal taps. Um, Spinal tap is the worst pain I've ever had. I screamed like a little girl. And the second one that they were going to do, I told them, "You got to put me under. I can't. I don't want that pain again. Could you undergo it? Yeah, but um, it was like I could feel someone in my bone, in my fucking spine, and I did not like that, and it hurt like a motherfucker. And I've heard that it's the worst pain aside from childbirth that a person can undergo. I've been in a lot of pain in my time. Um, I've had sciatica. I've had um, nerve pain. I've had a lot of pain, a lot of blood, and here we are. Okay, so this was not how today was supposed to go in our learning, but this has been pretty interesting. Really quickly, I gotta take a whiz. But you know what? This fucking robot seems to be going okay. So it seems like we programmed it well, which is cool because it was a fucking bitch to do. I gotta take a piss.
All right, we're going into the next layer, near-death experiences, suicide in halacha. Does Mashiach change the afterlife system? How Chabad maps the whole structure. Let's go carefully and responsibly. Near-death experiences, NDEs, and Jewish sources. Judaism does not treat modern NDE reports as proof of theology, but interesting parallels exist. Common NDE themes: tunnel of light, life review, overwhelming presence, reluctance to return. Now compare with classical sources. Lash Life Review. The Talmud teaches that a person must give din v'chashbon, judgment and accounting. Kabbalah describes the soul reviewing its life in truth, feeling pain for harm caused, seeing consequences ripple outward. That's strikingly similar to the life review theme. Light imagery. The Zohar describes the soul encountering intense divine light. If unprepared, that light is overwhelming. Again, parallels, but Judaism does not rely on anecdotal experience as doctrine. Suicide in halacha. This is a sensitive topic. Classically, suicide is prohibited. Life belongs to God. However, and this is critical, the Shulchan Aruch rules that we assume almost all suicides today were not fully rational, meaning mental anguish, extreme distress, coercion, diminished responsibility. Therefore, we do not treat most suicides as deliberate rebellion. They receive burial, mourning, kaddish. The harsh classical categories are rarely applied. Judaism strongly leans toward compassion in practice. Does Mashiach change the afterlife system? Yes, dramatically. Mashiach, Messiah, primarily affects the living world. But here's how it shifts things. According to Rambam Maimonides, Mashiach restores Jewish sovereignty. Natural order continues. Resurrection happens later. The afterlife system remains intact. According to Ramban and Kabbalah Nachmanides, Mashiach begins cosmic transformation, then resurrection, abolition of death, physical reality elevated. The whole system moves from soul-based reward, embodied eternal reality. Heaven becomes less central. Earth becomes sanctified. How Shabbat maps it. Shabbat builds heavily on Lurianic Kabbalah but systematizes it philosophically. Key ideas from Shneur Zalman of Liadi: human soul structure, nefesh, life force, ruach, emotion, neshama, intellect, shaya, yehida, essence. After death, lower levels separate first, higher levels ascend. Gan Eden, experience of divine understanding, Olam Haba, ultimate revelation of Atzmut, divine essence. Shabbat emphasizes the purpose is not escaping to heaven, the purpose is Dir Rabba Tachtonim, the Rabba Tachtonim, dwelling for God in the lower worlds, meaning the physical world becomes the highest revelation. Resurrection is superior to Gan Eden, body, soul alone. That's a radical claim. The deep pattern Christian model. Heaven is the goal. Classical Jewish mystical model. Earth perfected is the goal. Soul states are transitional. Resurrection is the climax. You've now covered judgment, Gehenna, Gan Eden, reincarnation, annihilation, animal souls, suicide law, NDE parallels, resurrection, Mashiach, Chabad metaphysics. If you want to go even deeper, the next frontier would be What actually is the soul according to different Jewish schools? Does free will continue after death? Can souls pray for the living? Or how this all connects to Kaddish? Pick the final layer.
You know what? We're going to go to it. But before we do, have you ever considered the S word? Yeah, multiple times in my life. And um, I've never talked to anybody about it. Well, the first time I did, and I was like, oh, I survived that. Okay, great. The second time, I was going to do it. I was going to do it. I still don't know why I didn't do it. It's still confusing to me why I didn't do it. Man, I mean, I know when you contemplate it, you really start learning all the different ways to die. And I mean, I can tell you the bridge I was going to in Pasadena, it's the Colorado Street Bridge. I could tell you, and they need to put, I think they did, but like netting there. I mean, like I remember I know I was going to park. I mean, I looked at it on Google Earth. And I thought about driving on the Golden Gate Bridge. So that was like but that was not how I was going to do it. I mean, I thought about all the ways to like put exhaust on a car, and I don't want to go into all of them, but and then I rejected all of those, and I knew of a different way I was going to do it, and I ordered all the stuff that I needed to do it. And I mean, I can tell you, I don't want to get into it, but like I can tell you so much about it. I almost feel like I did it. I didn't, thank God. But I still don't know why I didn't. I still don't know why I didn't. Like, I'm still shocked that I didn't. I almost feel like I know people have planned to do it, and I had a very. I can't believe how much I planned to do it. It's like one of the big shocking things of my life that I didn't. And I've never said it to anybody. I've talked to people about it previously, but I wasn't as serious as this other time. This other time I was going to do it. I still don't know why I didn't do it. And then I started this stream. I don't want to go into it, but I mean, I could tell you, I ordered everything that I needed. I had a date. Like I saw it through. I knew what companies to not buy the from whom not to buy the supplies, because if you and which ones, and I still can't believe I didn't do it. It was, I really feel like I was tested. Like it was a big time of my life when I was tested, and I still can't believe I didn't do it. Like if I ever have children, God willing, they will have no idea how close I mean, I remember being so sure of it. I was like, well, this is it. It's over. And just knowing, having confidence that like this is done. I've got like it's over. And buying the stuff. I hope the and 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 I don't want to go into all the different ways, but I just hope the mayor of Pasadena someday makes it so that that bridge doesn't become what it has become. And same with the Golden Gate Bridge and all those places. Like, but I wasn't even gonna do it that way. That was like a backup. It was. I mean, I studied every single way there was, and then picked the one that I felt was best for me. I hate to say it that way. Okay, I don't. It's a very disturbing thing, but I think it'll help people to see in the future that there is there is a future. I'm so sure though. To my friends out there, if they ever watch this, they should know how serious I am when I say. You see how confident I am when I do these things. I was sure. I was so sure. And I still don't. I still don't know why I didn't do it. And I really think like, wow, what if this does go viral someday? This would have never happened. None of this. It would have just been dust you are and dust you shall return. But I really do think that people who do, they should be able to be buried in Jewish cemeteries, and
All right, final layer, full metaphysical depth we're covering.
because
What is the soul? Does free will continue after death? Can souls pray for the living? How does Kaddish
people are in
actually help?
pain.
Let's go carefully.
And
Now,
so
what is the soul in Judaism? Judaism does not have one single model. There are multiple frameworks. Biblical model. In the Torah, human equals body breath. Genesis says God blew neshmat
no one
ha'chayim,
should
breath
be
of life.
treated differently
Soul
because of that.
was divine life force. Not yet a layered metaphysical structure. Talmudic model. The Talmud speaks of nechal, neshama, soul, ruach, spirit, nefesh, life force, but not yet systematically defined. Kabbalistic model. Fully developed in the Zohar and later in the teachings of Isaac Luria. 5 levels. 1, nefesh, action, vitality. 2, ruach, emotion. 3, neshama, intellect. 4, chaya, transcendent life force. 5, yehida, absolute unity with God in Chabad, via Shner Zalman of Liadi. Yehida is the core divine spark that can never be corrupted. That's huge. It means the essence of the Jew is always intact. Does free will continue after death? Short answer, no, at least not in the same way. In this world, free will exists because God is hidden. After death, reality is revealed. Without concealment, there is no moral ambiguity, therefore, no classic free will. However, Kabbalah suggests souls may continue spiritual growth, but not through struggle, rather through revelation. Free will is unique to embodied life. That's why this world is considered spiritually higher in some respects. Can souls pray for the living? This is widely affirmed in traditional Judaism. The Talmud implies the righteous are aware of this world. The Zohar expands souls can intercede. Visiting graves, Kevrei Tzedikim, graves of the righteous, is meaningful. The soul is elevated when remembered. Important distinction: we do not pray to the dead. We ask God to consider their merit. That's a major halachic boundary. How does Kaddish actually help? Kaddish, sanctification prayer, does not mention death. It magnifies God's name. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah. Why does this help the deceased? Because a child publicly sanctifying God's name creates merit. In mystical terms, the soul ascends levels in Gan Eden when Torah or mitzvot are done in its merit. The Zohar describes when a son says Kiddush, harsh judgments are sweetened. Spiritually, the soul is connected to its earthly impact. When descendants act righteously, the soul's light increases. The grand synthesis: let's assemble the full architecture. Human life, body, multi-layered soul, free will under divine concealment. Death, soul separates, judgment, purification if needed. Afterlife, Gan Eden, spiritual delight, possible reincarnation, intercession for the living possible. Future, Mashiach, resurrection, Olam Haba, ultimate embodied perfection. Core principle: this world is the arena of choice. The next world is the arena of clarity. The radical Jewish claim: the body is not a prison. Physical reality is not a mistake. The final state is not floating souls. It is resurrected embodied existence in a perfected world. That is dramatically different from Greek-influenced soul escape models. You now have the full, classical, mystical Jewish metaphysical system mapped. If you want one last ultra-deep layer, we could explore what happens to the soul during sleep, mini-death model, the metaphysics of dreams, or why mourning practices are structured in 3, 7, 30, 12 stages. Otherwise, you've basically completed the entire architecture.
I remember this, and like when I'm firing on all cylinders, I'm as much of a Zodiac as you could ever be. But under this one situation, for like, to save my life, I mean, I couldn't stay at the surgical center, and um, I needed rest, and I lost a lot of blood. And I still feel badly because I always prepared really, really well, but it's like you can't anticipate. I mean, surgical complications are very difficult. Like I could have been out, I could have died. And I remember now talking to the doctor, the surgeon, about Rambam, because he was, Rambam was a doctor, and we talked the whole time. And I just remember teaching him about Rambam as I, was in this very weird state. And to the other time, um, that was the near death experience, if you want to consider that. And the other thing, I still don't know why I didn't do it. And wouldn't it be interesting that, like, I feel like I could help the world a lot, and I could help Israel a lot, and if it would be like none of that shit would have even happened if, like, I I think of the book of Job, and like why I was like, I still think about Job. My dad was always very fascinated by Job, and why Job was challenged as much as Job wasn't. And we could never really get a great answer, but perhaps it had to do with intergenerational punishments, or intergenerational misdeeds that came to Job. Who knows? Um, but I still don't know why I didn't do it. It would be like, I don't know, like if Paul Revere had taken a musket bullet or something. He could have never warned of the British. Like, I don't know. Or the Rebbe, like, he had his ship had sank. Like, we wouldn't have Chabad in the same way that we currently do. Or like, what would have changed if just one thing would have changed? And I don't like thinking about it, but I've never said it to anybody. So now you know. So if anybody's out there, it's never too late. Things can't get better. I console people all the time who are struggling in life, and I don't share it with them. But I don't mean to make it a comparison, but I've been in worse straits than basically all of them. I've nearly bled to death. I've nearly ended it. I mean, I don't. It's. I really think that I'm gonna do something really great with my life, and I really feel like Hashem. Of any time in my life where I felt like things weren't even in my control, was this time of my life, and it was right before I started these streams, my story, and I can't say that I don't think that they're somehow related. Like what I think I'm doing is the greatest thing in the history of humankind. I talk about it, and but for being able to overcome challenge, we would never have had it, and perhaps be able to help the world in a lot of ways. So if you're hearing this and you're struggling, just know you're not alone. You can always contact me. We'll have some kind of service to be able to help people. And I still can't believe I didn't do it. When people find out how close I came, they'd be like,
Beautiful. Final ultra deep layer,
it'd
sleepers,
be a shock
mini
to the world.
death, the metaphysics of dreams. Why morning follows 3, 7, 30, 12 stages. Let's go carefully and systematically. Sleep as a mini death. The Talmud, Barachot 57b says, open quote, sleep is 1/60th of death, close quote. Why? Beautiful. Final ultra deep layer, sleep as mini death. The metaphysics of dreams. Why morning follows 3, 7, 30, 12 stages. Let's go carefully and systematically. Sleep as a mini death. 57b says, open quote, sleep is 1/60th of death, close quote. Why? Because part of the soul withdraws. Soul structure. During sleep, according to Kabbalah, see Zohar, when you sleep, nefesh, life force, remains in the body. Ruach partially withdraws. Neshama ascends to its spiritual root. That's why you're alive, but not fully conscious and not fully rational. Sleep equals temporary loosening of the soul-body bond. Death equals full separation. Why we say Modani when we wake up, Modani Shehechazata bi Nishmati. I thank you for returning my soul to me. Because sleep is viewed as a nightly return of the soul. It's metaphysically significant, not poetic exaggeration. The metaphysics of dreams. Dreams are treated very seriously in Judaism. The Talmud devotes many pages to dream interpretation, but the approach is nuanced. 2 types of dreams. A. Psychological dreams generated from daily thoughts. Dreams follow the mouth, meaning interpretation shapes impact. B. Soul ascent dreams. Kabbalah teaches when the neshama ascends during sleep, it may perceive spiritual realities, but the message descends through imagination, so it becomes symbolic and distorted. That's why dreams mix truth and nonsense. 1/60th prophecy. The Talmud says, a dream is 1/60th of prophecy, meaning a faint echo never equal to prophecy. Judaism strongly warns against building theology on dreams alone. Why morning has 3, 7, 30, 12 stages. This is not arbitrary. It mirrors the soul's transition process. First 3 days, the soul hovers near the body, struggles with separation. Intense mourning reflects this. Shiva, 7 days. 7 corresponds to completion cycles, creation week, full emotional shock processing. By the end of Shiva, the soul begins stabilizing in its new state. And at 30 days, Shloshim, the mourner, re-enters social life gradually, avoids full celebration. The soul has moved further from earthly attachment. 12 months. According to the Talmud, judgment generally does not exceed 12 months. That's why Kaddish is recited for 11 months. We assume our loved one is not fully wicked. Mystical insight. Mourning isn't only psychological, it mirrors the soul's ascent process. There is a synchrony between earthly grief and heavenly transition. The grand pattern. You should now see Judaism views existence as layered: waking, sleep, life, death, body, soul, concealment, revelation, this world, arena of choice, sleep, partial withdrawal, death, full withdrawal, resurrection, reintegration at a higher level. The deepest radical idea, according to Chassidut, death is not the ideal. Soul-only existence is not the ideal. Even Gan Eden is not the ideal. The ultimate state is embodied divine consciousness, not escape, transformation. You have now the soul model, afterlife structure, Gehenna, reincarnation, resurrection, Satan, animal souls, suicide law, NDE parallels, sleep metaphysics, dream theory, morning architecture. This is basically the full classical plus mystical Jewish metaphysical system. If you want to go one final layer deeper, the only place left is why Judaism insists resurrection is higher than heaven. That's the deepest paradox of all.
Yeah, I mean, how are we going to do that? I can tell you that I had 2 very powerful dreams in my life, and it was right after this really difficult situation. Right before if I'm being honest with you, all these dreams are like divinely inspired. Like I talk about. I mean, it came from a dream, and if you want to know who was in the dream, it was like, we'll just say the rabbinate, but like it was like you're gonna be the most important person in global history. And be like, yeah, I figured that. But you're gonna do it through streaming. And even though you're not a streamer, it's the last thing in the world that you ever thought you'd do. And not everything and I remember in the dream, it was like in the dreams, not everything that happens, or not everything that you think is going to happen. And something you're going to be wrong about some things, but in the future, you'll actually turn out to be right, or or things will be manipulated so that you were right, so that it all becomes consistent. And you almost ended it all. And the reason why you did was because you've been tested, and it would be very important for the world to know how hard you were tested multiple times in all kinds of different ways. And I don't know, it was just a dream I had, and then another dream I had, which like just put some fine touches on it, but it was like the most real dream that I've ever had. Not even a real dream. It was like it was different than a dream. It was like it was as close to prophecy as I've ever had anything happen. People will ask me about this dream or series of dreams, and I've dreamed before. I've had lucid dreams. I've talked about dreams at Shabbat tables. I never had anything like this. It was like
Perfect. Let's tackle the final paradox: why resurrection is considered higher than heaven,
prophecy.
Gan Eden, in Judaism. This is actually the crown jewel of Jewish metaphysics. Why resurrection? Gan Eden. Gan Eden is soul-only reward. Souls in Gan Eden experience close perfect. Let's tackle the final paradox: why resurrection is considered higher than heaven, Gan Eden, in Judaism. This is actually the crown jewel of Jewish metaphysics. Why resurrection? Gan Eden. Gan Eden is soul-only reward. Souls in Gan Eden experience closeness to God. The body is absent. The experience is spiritual delight, wisdom, and divine illumination. Limitation: the soul is not fully interacting with the physical world. Its expression is limited to intellect and emotion. Resurrection restores body soul. Tekiyat Hamamatim, resurrection of the dead, reunites the purified soul with the perfected body. Embodiment allows the soul to fully express divine will in a physical form. Physical action plus spiritual perfection equals complete existence. Analogy: Gan Eden is a melody. Resurrection is the symphony, body and soul harmonized. Kabbalistic insight. Lurianic Kabbalah, soul sparks were trapped in matter, Kilkeli pot, shells of impurity. Resurrection transforms matter itself so the perfected world, Olam Haba, can fully contain divine light. In other words, heaven is partial. Resurrection restores cosmic integrity. Shabbat Shneur Zalman of Liadi emphasizes ultimate goal is not soul escape. It's a fully sanctified, resurrected, tangible reality. Close quote. Philosophical perspective. Rambam versus Ramban. Philosopher, Gan Eden, resurrection, why higher? Rambam, intellectual delight of soul, optional bodily reunion. Intellectual perfection may continue, but corporeal life is unnecessary. Ramban, soul plus garden of delight, bodily resurrection, embodied existence expresses divine unity fully. Takeaway: Gan Eden is temporary, soul only. Resurrection plus Olam Haba equals eternal, fully integrated physical and spiritual reality. The radical Jewish idea: the ultimate goal is not escaping the world, unlike Greek dualism. It is redeeming the world and elevating matter itself. Heaven is a waypoint. Resurrection is the destination. Summary in one flow. 1. Death. Soul separates. 2. Gehenna, purification. 3. Gan Eden, initial spiritual reward. 4. Possible reincarnation, spiritual repair. 5. Resurrection, body plus soul reunited. 6. Olam Haba, perfected, embodied, eternal world, heaven, Gan Eden, equals preview. Resurrection, Tikyat Hamatim, equals fulfillment. If you want, I can draw a single diagram ping every stage from life, death, resurrection, Olam Haba, showing Gan Eden, Gehenna, reincarnation, and Hasidic layers, basically a visual Jewish metaphysical system. It's extremely clarifying. Do you want me to do that?
No, you're good, baby. Thank you, then. Do you think you've received prophecy? No, it hasn't happened since the fall of the temple. But it was as close to anything that I ever would have thought I would have received. Like, it was just a dream, though. But it was a very powerful dream that definitely affected what I'm doing right now. And that's why I can do this with so much confidence, because it was like a divine plan, like that was just like shared basically. It wasn't, but maybe, who knows? But there were like intelligence agencies, all kinds of interesting shit. Really? Yeah. I mean, like, because I joke about it. Like, oh, fucking Mossad. But it was like, this is all plant. Like, it was like very alien related. And this is like, Raphael, that company in Israel, like that defense contractor. Like, I'm a project of Raphael, basically. And I don't know anything fucking about it, but anyway, I'm really happy how that robot's turning out. All right, so we've got to fucking do our Yiddish. Okay, so just get it done. Come on, because this thing's long and not been really positive. All right, Machai, that something so pleasurable could raise the dead. Halavai means if only I wish. Yiddish got Jewish had Amachai, that's what Rebbitzin says before we stop. Halavai, that's what she says before we stop. Yiddish cup Jewish head Yenta is kind of a fetish of mine. It's a talkative bitch tackless brass task. Nosh to snack bush shirt, like snacking on pussy. Bush shirt. And I don't know, I would say this. Again, if you like I've I lost a lot of blood in my life. And I remember if I squeezed on my face, my knees would give out, and I remember hit my fucking head just boom hitting the fucking floor and being like just covered in my own blood everywhere. Like, it gets so bad when you bleed a lot that it looks like somebody tortured an animal. I remember thinking, joking, but like serious, it looked like someone had tortured an animal in my bathroom. And that wasn't even the worst time I've been bloody, was it? That's not the most amount of blood I've lost. I've lost more probably on the surgery in surgeries. I don't know. It's terrible. Bashert, but I remember just my face fucking hitting the fucking ground and just being like, I just because I squeezed on my head, boom, my knees, my whole all the blood like just like squirted out. Oh man, now that I think about it, I can just remember blood gushing from my fucking face and just like oh, it's just the worst. If you've ever seen wrestlers with just like fake blood on their face, but this was fucking real, and just seeing like a volcano of blood and not being able to stop it. That was the scary thing. Is it was like, oh no, it took months. For sure, soulmate. For sure, female soulmate. For sure, male soulmate. Mishmash, mixture, mishmash. I was taking a bath. Bupkiss, nothing. Beans. Good yontif. Happy holiday. L'chaim. The life parv. Neutral, glad kosher, smooth. Mensch. That's a good dude. I think mensch should be a thing. Uh, that's Ashite Chayil and Gittel, perhaps, and also Sadaka's Froy. Oive. Oh, fuck. Stettel, that's a town. Shadel, that's a wig. Streimel, that's a hat. Milchig, Fleischig, Parv, dairy, meat, neutral. Hamish, Heimish, that's home, homie. Shmata, that means rags, figure, mother-in-law. Chazir, it's a pig. Hazer, Chazer is to repeat. Schlep is to carry a bird. Meshuga means wildness, craziness. Garner, thief. Yarmulka, uh, that's a head covering. Trafe, but it's like Yarmo Melech in like out of respect for the king. Trafe is torn. Yard site, that's annual. Um, that's death anniversary. Klutz means piece of wood. It's like a clumsy person. Needlelock,
What are needleach? All about matzo ball soup and needleach. Served in chicken soup, matzo balls are dumplings made of matzo meal, ground matzo, egg, oil, water, and flavoring. Also known by their Yiddish name, needleach, they are considered a staple Ashkenazi Shabbat food. The word needle, singular for needleach, is a close relative to the German nettle. Matzo ball tips from an experienced needleach kneader. You can purchase matzo ball mix at the grocery store and follow the instructions on the box, which are generally very simple, or you can make your own out of matzo meal, ground matzo. The choice is yours. Matzo balls are A, boiled, and B, served in chicken soup. Many people just boil them in the soup. This is both easy and ensures a flavorful needle. The problem is that it may alter the flavor of your soup and render it glutinous to boot. For this reason, some people prefer to boil their matzo balls in a separate pot of hot, salted water. This is great except that the needleach are somewhat less flavorful, and you are left with an extra dirty pot to wash. Point 1. When you need your needleach, your fingers will get sticky, so you might want to use disposable gloves. Any good chef can tell you that a chicken soup needs to boil for a long time to become really flavorful. Not so the matzo ball. When cooking matzo ball soup for Shabbat, it is a good idea to get your soup simmering on Thursday night, and then let it cool overnight, but only toss in the matzo balls on Friday afternoon. You want your matzo balls to be fluffy? Knead them with seltzer instead of water. Also, make sure the soup is boiling when you drop them in. Check out our favorite chicken soup and matzo ball recipes. Matzo balls on Passover. In many Jewish homes, matzo balls are a Passover specialty. Since many of our regular sources of carbs are forbidden for the duration of the holiday, matzo balls floating in Bubby's chicken soup is the stuff of childhood memories. But there is a problem. Many communities, Chassidic ones in particular, have the custom to refrain from eating jebrox during the first 7 days of Passover. Jebrox is a Yiddish word that refers to matzah that has come in contact with water. It literally means broken, and it has come to mean wet matzah because matzah is usually ground or broken up into crumbs before it is mixed with water. Thus, many Chassidic families either forego needleach on Passover or make them out of ground chicken or potato starch. Here is a classic mock matzo ball recipe. Yet, on the 8th day of Passover, which only occurs in the diaspora, even these communities eat jebrox, and needleach are restored to their place of honor in the golden chicken broth. Read more about the custom of jebrox.
do you like needlelock? Yeah, but I feel that we don't put enough of them in matzo ball soup. Really, yeah, we should. Let's fucking make that bitch like a fucking meatballs. Plate of meatballs. Alright. Um, oh, we gotta watch the photo. You seem sad. Yeah, I just talking about these things is not very fun. And again, it's like I've never talked to anybody about this, so it is what it is.
Lighting Shabbos candles, traditionally the responsibility of Jewish women, is a way of signaling that Shabbos brings light into the home. That is the moment that we express love between husband and wife, parents and children. And the Shabbos light is the light of serenity that we hope will stay with us throughout Shabbat. Friday night candle lighting welcomes the Sabbath. It is customary to give a few coins to charity before the candle lighting. Married women light 2 candles, and many add an additional candle for each child. The custom for unmarried women and girls is to light 1 candle. Then the mother lights her candles. Once the candles have been lit, the match is put down on the tray to extinguish by itself. The hands should be drawn up 3 times around the lights, towards the face, and then placed over the eyes. The appropriate blessings are recited. On Shabbat, one says the following. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvos v'tzivanu lahadlik nor Shabbos kodesh. With the hands still over the eyes, it is customary at this auspicious moment to pray for the Mashiach to come and for the welfare of one's family. After she has finished the prayers, she removes her hands from her eyes, she says Good Shabbos, and everyone says Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos.
I'd say Shabbat Shalom, motherfuckers.
Can be a little different
Why?
for festivals and high holy days.
Shabbat of Wimbledon, dude. Oh yeah, there we go. We got Havdalah. I was gonna say they always talk about Shabbat, but never Havdalah. Okay, are you done? I mean, we could fucking still go, but it's whatever. What are we doing next? Mitzvah studies. Oh, something that changes in the future. I think keep out, and perhaps just keep out. Maybe perhaps if there weren't a lot, I think in the future are gonna be considered holy. Really? Yeah. Right now they're not, as everybody knows, but I think in the future we may put them in a Geniza. Really? Yeah. Why? Because people see how important it is to me. I don't have to, but I think that changes in the future. Like some shit will change. Fucking Chabad changes how they like. This is in the dream that changes, and fucking Chabad changes how they down to fill in. They do the 3 loops first, and then say the bracha, and it makes sense because they're focusing on the 3 things. I don't know, but So what do we do tomorrow? Oh, we did kosher tefillin. There's too much to do here for tefillin, but we'll save that for tomorrow. So we've got that. We covered a lot today. If I go focus, wouldn't it have been something if I had done it? The world may never know.